Alright, so this new game mode has come out and I finally decided to kind of get on this topic. And essentially in this video, we're going to break down the biggest winners and the biggest losers in this game mode. Now, this game mode isn't super important, but in the future, guys, we might be having to buff Team Ghetto and Team Gojo through this. So obviously, being able to grind more efficiently is just going to help, especially if you're trying to min-max the amount of resources you could get. Doing the most amount of damage is important. And remember, debuffs are kind of screwed over in here, because when you change phase, debuffs are removed. Nukers are hurt because when you change phase, you don't take damage and the damage doesn't transfer over, right? So a lot of these things, and please check my actual video when I played through it to see at the beginning the breakdown. A lot of these things hurt some units, but also help some units. And some units I found kind of get some pretty big value. So we're going to start with the biggest losers, then we're going to go into the biggest winners. So one of the biggest losers has to be Blue Gojo, especially now that Sukuna and Ghetto are out. The reason why he doesn't have a place in here is because this lasts 17 turns. In a lot of cases, you have to do over, what, I think it's like 68 million damage. So not only is it like you're locked because you can't fully nuke the whole thing, well, he's only there for 17 turns and it's a, he's only there for 7 turns and it's a 17-turn battle. This guy is not really going to be that useful. In a lot of cases, it's just going to be better in a lot of cases to have Sukuna, and then if you want either Ghetto or just a random ass support, then Gojo, right? Gojo is a bit of a loser in this. Now, I definitely would say Hollow Purple is one of them because he leaves when he uses his ult, right? And he's only there for 7 turns again. And especially with this, it's going to be very difficult for him to really do good. Now, sure, he could nuke the second phase. So can Blue Gojo. If you really want to be like that, so can Blue Gojo. The thing is, the phase after still has 30 million. So, you know, it's like his value has gone down, right? Could you use him? Sure, you could probably get to tier 7, maybe. It's a possibility. Thing is, bro, it's still like 30 million damage on the last phase. So it's like, I listen, you could use Gojo to maybe get to like phase 7, but if you're really trying to min-max this shit, go higher. These two units just kind of lose value because it's 17 turns. You could definitely drop with Gojo, then have him switch out, then have someone come in. That works for sure. It just, you know, it could be a bit difficult, right? Could be a bit difficult. But I would definitely call these guys losers because they're not outright winning. Like, obviously, I'm comparing like Tower to this. And like, you could say they're usable, just not the best. Now, Yuji is actually a loser because in the new game mode with Yellow, you have a chance to lose Cursed Energy, right? Very unfortunate, but if this guy doesn't have Cursed Energy, it's going to be kind of rough. Like, if his Cursed Energy keeps on getting lowered by the boss, who does a lot of damage too, then this Yuji is going to be cooked, right? Because you do need a lot of Cursed Energy for this guy to be fine. So it is unfortunate that if he goes down to 0, like, GG for that, right? I don't really need to spend more time. I think it makes a lot of sense why it sucks for Yuji. Now, Mahito's a big loser because 15% of an HP bar just isn't much. Like, his damage is basically long-term, but it's not going to be the most damage you could do. Like, obviously, he's not a nuker. So this guy is unfortunately losing out pretty big time overall, for sure, right? For sure. And finally, it would be Ghetto. It is not the craziest thing, but you definitely have to consider these are 4-turn debuffs. The thing is, when you switch phases, the debuffs gone, right? They're gone. So Ghetto cannot transfer the debuffs, and even if you're losing out on even like fucking 30%, 60%, that's still a loss, right? So I would definitely say that Ghetto is going to be okay, but it's just like keeping it up, especially if you're using Ghetto with a Taijutsu unit, for example, Yuji. It's definitely going to be hard. It's definitely going to be hard. Listen, I don't think he's horrible, but I can't exactly say he's going to be the best for this new game mode when maybe 2 or 3 of his sets of debuffs are just going to be gone when he switches phases, right? I'm sure you could restart it, but you're still losing out on that damage if it was a buff unit instead, right? Now we could get into the winners, right? These are the 5 biggest losers that I kind of found. But now we could get into the winners, which is another 5 actually. So Domain Gojo, I just wanted to put him in here. It's not like he's a winner because he stays good, but his type of debuff is nice, right? Reason is it's a one-time debuff. You get big value out of it for either, well, probably phase 2, and then Degumi could come in. It's actually very nice because of how big his damage increases, especially for Red Bro. He damage increases and then does his own type of damage. Like, that's fucking good, right? So this guy is really not losing out. He's still a great DPS for red, but as an overall support, he works completely fine because you could still lower the enemy's damage, which is relevant because the enemies could do a lot of fucking damage, but also the damage increase he gives is going to be able to line up in most cases for phase 2, and phase 2 is I think tier 4 if I remember correctly, and then you get the damage increase, bada bing bada boom. You could clear phase 2 very easily to move on to phase 3, where optimally it would be ran with Degumi, which is great, right? I really like the way Gojo in this mode when I tried him out. Now Yuki is a weirdly big increase. Now the reason is because he's working amazingly with Team Gojo in this mode and just the overall team. What I mean by that is the enemy does a lot of damage, right? On yellow, does a lot of damage. And I've seen a lot of people complain about how much, well, not complain, but like just be like, wow, the enemy does a lot of damage. And what Kaido could do is use this skill 3. So it stuns. It has a chance to stun, first of all, which the stuns are actually very, very useful. Okay, first of all, we'll make sure that's understood. But not only that, he also gives damage reduction for yellow. So this guy, even if you don't stun, you're going to be taking a lot less damage because they do less damage, and then you have damage reduction, which you could technically stack twice, right? So it's really good. But besides just that, he has the highest damage increase too on this, where it's a 140% total for Jujutsu units, right? And guess who's Jujutsu? Team Gojo, right? And alongside Kaido, who else? Well, spoiler, but Yaga is the one I wanted to talk about. And the reason is because he's giving these crazy ass buffs for yellow, right? We got the 30% and the 16%, and this is single target, right? So it's really good because obviously it's a single target like type of boss. But the next thing is it applies darkness. Now darkness has a chance to make it so the enemy doesn't attack. So not only are you getting big debuffs, also getting this damage increase every turn. And sure, the debuffs, like, they can go away, but the biggest thing is he's not only doing debuffs, and he's also giving buffs, right? He's giving buffs here and here, but also the darkness. So he's going to be able to stop the enemy from attacking sometimes. And yeah, debuffs, like I said, it does hurt, but the thing is, right, he does also give buffs. So it's not like he's completely killed. Debuffs are still good. Like, I'm not saying, like I said, that Green Ghetto was like completely dead. It's just that like having to restart the stack sucks. But even without the stack, Yaga is still giving the damage increase. But the biggest thing, especially for yellow, because yellow like AoE going crazy, right? You could still apply the darkness, right? Which will stop them from attacking, which is huge. Now, Junpei also could work if you don't have, like, if you need to lower damage but still do some damage. Yellow could definitely be one of the harder ones. But Junpei, why he has a chance at working is because, well, he lowers the Jujutsu damage, and I'm pretty sure the enemy does Jujutsu damage, and this guy could just stack it. But if you don't want to go for that, you could also do some damage, right, in some cases. So he could do some damage, some, very, very few, but some, while also lowering damage as a very free unit for you. So, like, he does gain some value because he's going to be pretty decent if you need to stay alive and you don't have other options, which I do like. And Yuji, I think, is the biggest winner out of all this. And why is that? Because, okay, let's look at it. All right, so Hollow Purple does leave. Nanami is more AoE, does good damage, but, you know, not as much as Yuji. Nobara needs Ghetto, and then what do we just say about Ghetto, right? And then it's also debuff, so, like, you're not doing damage the first 2 rounds of a phase, right? So Nobara is a bit of a loser. You could definitely include Nobara in the losers. Barely anyone has Maki. She does single target damage, I believe, right? But her damage isn't super duper high, I'd say. Because she gets, what, like up to 150, but it's with higher HP, and you're going to be kind of low HP. I don't see a case where Maki's going to stay at high HP, unless you get super lucky, right? And then Megumi, right? But he's more of a debuffer, so like, maybe Mekamaru's going to be good. Sure, maybe he's going to be a big winner. But like overall damage, I would say Megumi's overall damage is not the highest. But because of his support, he is a very valuable unit that you could put next to Yuji, right? For sure. But why is Yuji so good? Well, he gets his ult super quick. And once he ults once, he's kind of good for the rest. Like, his ult now is fucking insane. 1200 Black Flash damage increase, crit damage increase, alongside more Black Flash damage increase with the SP buff. I'm talking specifically SP Potential Unleashed. And then extra Taijutsu. And then also he gets his ult quicker because of his skill 3. And after he Black Flashes, he gets 10 Cursed Energy now. So it's like, once he gets his Black Flashes going, which I'm going to showcase him in this mode, he's going to be really good. He is definitely one of the better options because he's just so free to use, where it's like Hollow Purple, it's like you have to play very smart if you even want to use him. And then you got Nanami, who's more of an AoE unit, then Nobara, who needs debuffs, and then Megumi, who like is definitely very good and is probably the only other really good unit to use next to Yuji, right? as of right now for the greens. So it's like, wow, Yuji got a massive buff. And you could say, oh, really? So you're gonna play this game mode to buff Yuji only to play in this mode? Yeah. Guys, who's gonna be getting buffed in the future? Oh, right. Teen Gojo. Dagumi. Oh, right. Hollow Purple. Oh, right. Blue Gojo. Maybe. I don't know. They haven't buffed him yet, actually. Oh, right. Fucking Red Yuji. Oh, right. Maybe we're gonna get a nice Toto buff. Right? All these units, fucking Toji even, are gonna get buffed. So having Yuji there to where you could grind out stuff, right, for the future is going to be great because he's a fucking day one unit and you can have a max dupes and he's still really good, right? So at least for right now, it's still worthwhile to grind this game mode and he's the one that's going to be able to help you maximize a lot of this stuff. So I just want to make sure that's known. My glaze for Yuji is not going to stop and I'm going to showcase him and have a lot of fun. So that's kind of it for this video. And yes, he does require RNG, but it's fine. Like you could do the game mode infinite amount of times. That's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my picks? Do you think there's anyone I missed? I could for sure have missed some people. Let me know down below and I will see you guys in the next one. Just to make it clear, buffers in this are just kind of winners because debuffs are like a bit lower end now, right? But that's it. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.